Still waiting. Need more time.
Done.
Many Nephilim have stood where you are now.
Not ready yet. Need more time. Not ready yet. That was just a taste. Still waiting. Vengeance! My hatred is too low. Need more time. You won't survive that. I've become more formidable. Not ready yet.
That was inspiring.
Still waiting. Not ready. Your fear betrays you. Still waiting. Feel my wrath. Need more time. Become more formidable. I'm still waiting. I need more hatred to do that.
Hey, because I hope you can hear me.
Your fear betrays you. Not enough hatred.
Oh, believe me, I'm slow. This is not
Ready
fast.
yet.
You should see the way Javin plays. He's what you call express fast. I'm a little too weak for this. I'm at GR57.
I'm still waiting.
So yeah, I'm dying lots of times. I already died like 5-6 times. But despite that, I finished within
Not ready yet.
5 minutes, I guess.
You
Yeah,
have triumphed.
4 minutes 23 seconds.
Need more time.
So let me close this rift and let me tell you
My name is Ash.
what do we look at and what
I
round we
once
should be
served
looking
the
at.
ancient Nephilim. When the champions of ages past had proven themselves, I would attempt to improve the clarity of one of their gems.
Oh, shut
Still
up.
waiting. I am returning to town. Not ready yet. I've become stronger. Need more time.
Okay, so let me start sort of from the beginning. Not beginning as such, but okay, I'm back. Yeah, that is a wolf. I'll explain about that in a bit. So basically, obviously, the UI is a bit different on PC versus console, but more or less the principles are the same. So the way you go it is you go say create a new hero. There's an option here called seasonal hero. Check that. When you do seasonal, you start off on the current season. So in seasonal, basically all your progress gets wiped off, or rather you start off at a fresh slate. Whatever you have in your non-seasonal, you don't have access to it. If you really want to try something, it's this thing called hardcore. Where basically, if you die once, your character is dead forever. I don't play hardcore because on the PC it's always online, and because of lag spikes or because of whatever reasons, if I die, I don't want to live through the entire pain of having to level all over again. You have a choice of heroes. There's one more concept called rebirth. So you see this option here called rebirth. I'm pretty sure that also is available on the PS4, but I don't know when or where you can enable it. So basically, what rebirth does is whatever character, whatever items the character has, that goes off from him, and he starts off as a new seasonal hero. Now you might be wondering why is that? The number of slots that you have is limited, so you can say I have only 4 slots remaining. Uh, B, for those people like me who've been playing since the start, would like to see this current playtime carried forward. This was introduced like in maybe 4 or 5 seasons back. So if you look at one of my monks, I have like 347 hours. I have another 358 hours on the wizard, 220 hours on the bar. So it's nice to see that number go on increasing and carry forward. In terms of which hero to take, you can take any hero. For all practical purposes, they are more or less the same. They have the same set of powers. They are equally matched, unless of course, if you're planning for like ridiculously high end on the leaderboards, which in that case you probably won't be doing anything else except play Diablo or bot Diablo day in day out. So uh, those and all don't matter for people like us. You can select whatever you want, any hero that you want. Uh, so the advantage of ranged heroes is that they can stay a bit further back and uh, they can uh, deal damage from behind. But the melee heroes like the monk, the barbarian, they get an extra 35% in damage reduction because they're so close by. But for all practical purposes, you can select whatever you want. I'm actually selected the demon hunter after a long time. I usually stick to the monk because it's a fun build. It's a fun character. It's always nice to have. The necromancer is something new which came in the last year, so that also is a fun character. Uh, so here you see this thing called season journey. So let me get into the game. I'm gonna invite Jervin. I cannot invite him yet. Because I am at T10. Let me explain the bits first. So the first thing is you have this thing called seasonal journey. So you see chapter 1 to 4 at the start. What you don't know is beyond this there are I think another 4 or 5, maybe 3 or 4 tiers that you can go beyond that. So chapter 1 is like just these season journeys. They is sort of like a tutorial on how you can play adventure mode. Uh, so chapter 1 it just briefs you about the various features that are there. In at the end of chapter 2, 3, and 4, you get 2 pieces of a set each. So by the end of chapter 4, you'll have all 6 pieces of a set, and that's what makes it ridiculously powerful. Uh, so when you start a seasonal hero, there are different ways of leveling up. There are different leveling guides as well. What I would What I usually do is I just go look at what bounties are there. If there is a boss bounty, take that first because it's since your character is just starting off, it's going to be weak. So the enemy, damage and the hit points also scale with yours. So if you start with the boss, it's going to be easiest to kill them off, and you get a little bit more bonus experience as compared to the others. The other thing is like there are some areas. One second, let me just ignore it. There are some areas, for example, if you go to Act 1, if you go to Fields of Misery, uh, the number of features that are here are
It's just a
pretty
taste.
high compared to other places. So you can level them up, you can get level up,
and my
and
foes gain strength.
you can get experience pretty fast.
I am returning to town.
Uh, I don't really like bounties because initially they are nice. Like you have to go to this place or you have to kill X people. It gets boring pretty fast. So I usually switch between bounties
It
and
was my pleasure to
Nephilim
spend time
rifts,
with you.
which is known as plain old rifts. You get GRs or greater rifts only after you cross level 70. Till then you don't get access to it. There's also another thing called as a challenge rift. You can also try that. Basically, challenge rift is like a normal rift, but the items and the characters predefined. So it's Blizzard sort of curates a specific build, and you're supposed to finish the rift within X time or whatever. And depending on what rift you are using, that also sometimes it's boring, sometimes it's nice. So you can just give it a try. And these challenge lists are rotated every week. So yeah, basically the way leveling goes is you have two options. One is level, you try to level by yourself. If you're
Looked like you
playing
could use
on
a new
public,
item of
on the PS4, don't play public unless you are on a season. Why? Because on the PS4 there are a lot of hacked gear, people wearing ridiculous stats. Like you see the dex is 850. People will have 10,000 and whatnot. So it's like in one shot you'll go over 8,000 paragon or whatever, and it just kills the game. It's I mean it's nice for like 2 seconds, but it just kills the game, and you it's like there's no progression. One of the reasons why I like season so much, it's because progression. You start from nothing, you go towards being more and more powerful, and obviously the irony is that I like progression, but the initial 0 to 70 is like really boring because whatever items that you have in 0 to 70, it doesn't really matter. You end up tossing them out once you reach 70 because the items at the end are so much more powerful. Uh, when you're getting power leveled, basically what happens is someone will either start a rift or someone will go to a place,
This
and
will be interesting.
usually you have to stay at the start of the rift itself while I go nuts.
Not ready yet.
And I'm playing at P6 now, so that's why it's like so much faster.
Need more time.
And you'll notice something when I'm leveling, I don't really kill most of the monsters, I just look for the champions. That's because the champions
Still waiting.
give the most number of experience.
I need
So-
more discipline.
And you also look for things like speed shrines.
Feel my wrath. Not ready yet.
Nobody follows the story in season. We've done the campaign mode so many times that we know it by heart, we know each of the dialogue by heart, and it's just too boring and too annoying for us. So we just go directly into the season, the adventure mode.
Hatred is too low.
You'll notice Jervin is already at 36. So
Fear betrays
typically it takes me 2.5 or 3 rifts at T6. So that's each rift takes about 5 minutes. So in about 15 minutes I can get anyone to level 70.
I'm still waiting.
that is obviously if I'm geared up. Otherwise, there are a lot of communities which help each other level up. So the first 2 days of season I usually
more
don't
time.
play, but after the third, fourth day, people will be leveling each other up, and you can get to 17 knock, and people will also help in getting the gear.
Not ready yet. Not enough discipline.
Let me just finish this one.
Still waiting. I need more discipline. Darkness awaits you.
You notice I mentioned TP. TP means teleport to me.
Not enough discipline.
I usually do that whenever I go from one level to another level because the way
Not ready
experience sharing works is that if you are in the same region, by region I mean in one level, you get extra bonus
yet.
experience
Just a taste.
if you're in a multiplayer
Still
game.
waiting.
So if you're playing a multiplayer game and if you're not in the same region, then you don't get the extra bonus. So you can see here, it's
Not ready yet.
It's not there. I think they've changed this multiple times. Now you have to be pretty close to the person as well.
Still
But
waiting.
when you're power leveling, it doesn't matter. You don't gain that much experience.
I'm too low on discipline.
Yeah, the lightning one is pretty good. It's called a conduit. It was a lot more powerful than it is currently, if you believe that.
Guardian is here.
So earlier, the lightning was pretty high damage, and it had a flat high damage. Now what it scales off your item. It scales off your main
Still
item.
waiting. I am returning to town.
Javin is waiting at the gate. He just came up here because
Need more time.
whenever you kill the boss, the Rift Guardian, you get some extra stuff. So just
Not
go
ready
and
yet.
grab that. You can see so many items. I've been playing it so long that I know pretty much each of them without
I'm
having
still
to
waiting.
identify it. But
Well,
so you can see Javin is already at level 50. So that's how fast we can level when you're powering someone. And
Need
you
more
can
time.
Just get.
Not ready yet. Need more time.
So typically, well, we are playing on PC, so you don't need PSN Plus. This is on Blizzard's Battle.net, so you don't need a paid subscription to play multiplayer on PC.
Not ready yet. Time for that creature to die.
But yeah, on the PS4, you need PSN Plus for play multiplayer.
I'm still waiting.
You might be wondering what the hell is happening. Everything is moving
Not
so
enough
fast.
hatred. Do you want more?
I'll explain that in a bit as to what is happening, why I'm doing that. But I just want to
Need more
level
time.
Javin up a bit so you know what's happening. So you'll notice I'm not really stopping to pick up anything because right now once you have all your seasonal gear, like the sets and whatnot, you usually don't care about any of the yellow items or blue items. So you pick up whatever you can because you need them for crafting, and you pick up these weight crystals and
Not ready yet.
the blue ones, whatever it's called, I forgot. And also you need death spell. You need death spell. I'll explain about the currencies in a bit.
Need more time. Darkness awaits you.
So the reason why I said TP and then he stays here is because if he follows me, he's just too weak and he'll die even before he can say die. So he stays at the start, at the entrance. I get all the experience for him, he levels up, and as I said before, 70 the gear really doesn't matter because once you are at 70, the gear that you get is so much more powerful. It's just a waste.
You won't survive that. I need more discipline.
Also, I don't know if I can ever play this fast on the PS4 because I'm not really a big fan of the controller. I use controller on my PC, but it's only for something like flight simulators. When I was playing GTA, all the flight missions, I was using the PS4 controller. So you see we have some bunch of things. This is called the reusable parts. This is called Arcane Dust. There was one more called the Death's Bed, but I picked it up. This is the Forgotten Souls. Yeah, Auntie. This is the blood shards. So we'll explain each bit, what they do and why is there. So whatever you get. So first of all, once you start playing in adventure mode, don't sell anything to the vendor because the gold that you get there is really low and you can get better gold from just playing the game itself. So basically what you do is you just go to the blacksmith and you just salvage everything. You don't need any of the yellows. So the yellows gives you veiled crystals, you can see here. The blues gives you arcane dust, and any of the white items, it gives you reusable parts. The irony is that white items are supposed to be common, but they are actually so rare that everyone usually picks up a white whenever they get it. And these blues and yellows are supposed to be more rarer, but they're so common that it's very rare that anyone picks it. You get Forgotten Souls by salvaging legendaries. Once you're starting, legendaries are pretty good, but once you get your proper gear, they're all pretty much useless. And you don't, most of the time I don't even identify them.
Not ready yet.
Yeah, the UI is very different, but it's. I think the only thing is that the inventory has been completely revamped for the console because we don't have that much space on the screen. But otherwise, for all practical purposes, you have everything. You have the health. You have these health at a much smaller scale. You have 6 skills. You have the town portal and all these things.
Not ready yet.
I grant you.
So basically, when you're doing season, like I said, you can switch between bounties and drifts. If you're doing bounties, what I would suggest is, for example, the bounty is Kill the Butcher.
I'm still waiting.
So you'll get the arrow directly to where the objective is. So don't even bother trying to kill these guys, unless of course they are rare like Goblin.
Need more time. You won't survive that.
Some yellow or blue champions, or things like this. Good reflection. Otherwise, don't even bother picking. Don't even bother killing. Just go directly to the objective. This will take a bit of time to get used to. I still stop by and kill them because it's like just like that. It's just second nature.
Sweet revenge.
Try to just reduce the sound a bit. Just try to ignore all of these and just go directly.
Too low on discipline.
To the objective, which unfortunately at times is a bit doesn't really point directly to it, but you can get around it. Yeah. Oh, okay. Now I see what I did.
Not enough discipline.
You don't
I'm
have to
still
kill.
waiting.
You can run around them. So they'll only engage you if you engage them. So if you run around them, you can
Need more
see
time.
what Jervin does. He's more or less following me, but he doesn't stop. He cannot kill anything. It takes a bit of time, but you'll probably die once or twice or maybe a couple of times. But once you figure it out, you'll start ignoring them. Just don't kill them at all.
That was just a taste.
And I mean, yeah, you don't have to take my word as gospel. And if you like killing, by all means, just stop and kill them. So the thing is, most of Diablo's end game is revolves around two things. One is efficiency,
Need more time.
and the other thing is grinding. So you have to be, if you're grinding, you have to be efficient. By efficiency, meaning you go straight and
Not ready
finish
yet.
the objective is as soon as possible. Yeah, that's how that's how overpowered I am. Just kill them in one shot.
I'm still waiting.
And Javin got this achievement. It says kill the butcher 70 without being burned by floor or grabbed or whatever.
Need more time. I need to go back. I'm still waiting.
So post 70, what happens is you start getting Paragon levels. You see the second number here. That's your Paragon
Not
level
ready
count.
yet.
Yeah, you don't have the threat to me. So when the game first launched,
still
we didn't
waiting.
have any of this end game stuff. So once you finish the campaign, you start playing the same thing over and over again, and people got bored of it pretty fast, and they started asking for end game
Not
stuff.
ready
So
yet.
slowly, all these things came about, and uh, with the original game, the level cap was 60. You couldn't go beyond 60. With
Need
Reaper
more
of
time.
Souls, they changed it from 60 to 70. And in between Reaper of Souls and the original game, they had to find a way to get people still play the game. So they introduced this
Not
concept
ready
called
yet.
Paragons. Uh, so they introduced this concept of Paragons where you get some extra levels beyond that.
Need more time.
Initially, during the original Paragon design, the max Paragon was Paragon 100, and at that time,
I'm
I
still
think
waiting.
to reach Paragon 100, you had to play for, I don't know, probably hundreds of hours. Now it's like they've
Not
completely
ready
changed the
yet.
way you this thing. So it used to be exponentially scaling. It still is exponentially scaling. I don't know what is the
I'm
maximum.
still waiting.
They've claimed that the Paragon can go up infinitely, but uh, it starts slowing down roughly at around Paragon 600-ish. It starts like
Need
getting
more
really
time.
slow. Uh, how you level up, I'll explain in a bit. But yeah, the first once you cross level 70,
I'm still waiting.
you'll go from Paragon 1 to 50 in like no time. It's like seriously like no time because the amount of experience that is required is pretty less.
Need more
It
time.
starts getting slower and slower soon, and that's why you need to keep pushing the GRs. Uh, so what happens is Paragon
Not
levels
ready
is
yet.
exponential scaling, right? So now you need 707 million to go from 319 to 320. But the
Need
amount
more
of
time.
experience you get from a Rift is pretty less. So that's why usually you'll find people playing a lot of GRs. If you look at the leaderboards, uh, they are at like tier 113 and all that, which is absolutely insane.
Not ready yet.
Uh, Usually, what I do is I don't have any designated Paragon limit. I finish GR70,
I'm
which
still waiting.
based on your luck and your character, it might take up to Paragon 600 or whatever. Uh, like now, I can go only up to GR58.
Not ready
Uh,
yet.
so yeah, GRs is basically you have GRs which are greater rifts. It's like the normal rifts, but the difficulty is now no longer
I'm still
tied
waiting.
to your torment levels. So you see this torment levels. Right now I'm at torment 6. You can go from torment 1 till 13.
Need more time.
You can go from torment 1 till 13. That difficulty affects only bounties and Nephilim rifts. For greater rifts, it's got a completely independent scaling.
Not ready yet.
Greater rifts requires what is known as, do we have it here? Yeah, there's this thing called Greater Rift Keystone. You need that. You will get these keystones only if you are Torment 1 and above and GR 70 and above.
Need more time.
Sorry, if you're level 70 and above, not GR. If you're level 70 and above, and if you're playing at Torment 1 or above, you get GR stones. The more difficulty you level up, the more number of keystones you get. Up to Torment 6, you have one.
I'm still waiting.
At Torment 10, I think you get the minimum one plus an additional chance to get a second one. And at Torment 13, you get minimum 2 with the additional chance of a third one. And because you need a lot of experience to increase your paragons,
Not ready.
you have to keep pushing the greater risk. And pushing greater risk is also a nice challenge because you have a you have only 15 minutes to finish the rift, and
Need more time.
you need to find that fine balance between uh, completing the rift versus finding the max difficulty that you can go up to.
I'm still waiting.
So for when you get these paragon levels, you get these paragon points as well.
Need more time.
They are divided into 4 categories: core, offense, defense, utility. You can distribute them however
I'm
you
still
want,
waiting.
but as is with Diablo, everything revolves around efficiency. So what you see usually most people do is on the core,
Not ready.
first they put everything to movement speed. Why? Because the faster you can move, the faster you can kill, the faster you can dodge, and the faster you can finish the rift. On the offense, you can either put it into crit chance or crit damage, whichever is lesser. On the defense, if you are
Need more
I'll
time.
tell you about main stat. So before we go to that, there's this concept called main stat. Basically, every character's
Not ready yet.
damage is defined by one stat. It's known as a main stat. So you can see on the Demon Hunter, it's dexterity. For
Need more time.
for the monk and Demon Hunter, it's dexterity. For Crusader and for Barbarian, it's strength. For Wizard and for Necromancer and for Witch Doctor, it's intelligence.
Not ready yet.
So the higher you have these, the more of your main stat you have, the more damage that you do. So you can see a primary attribute for Demon Hunters and Monks.
I'm still
Strength is for Crusaders and Barbarians. So the other additional thing is
Not ready yet.
if your main stat is an intelligence, then you put more into armor. The reason the reason for that is basically balancing and diminishing returns. So your main stat
Need more time.
for a dex, the main stat gives armor. No, I actually gave it wrong. The main stat gives armor. For a wizard, for a
Not
witch
ready
doctor, the
yet.
main stat gives intelligence. The more intelligence that you have, the more all res that you have. All res is basically
Need more time.
these resistances: physical, cold, fire, lightning, etc. So if you're an intelligence,
waiting.
then you put more towards armor because that's something you lack in. But if you are a dex or a strength oriented, then you
Need
put
more
more
time.
into resist all because that's what you lack at. And I actually did a mistake by putting into armor, so I'm just going to put it into resist all. So you notice I put everything
Not ready yet.
into resist, and I still have points. This is because each of these can have up to a maximum of 50 points, with the exception of this. I'll get to that. So
still
after
waiting.
50, you can put whatever you want. So after resist all, I'll put it into armor. I think my resist all was maxed out. That's why it go into armor.
Need more time.
But here, typically a lot of people or most people follow this thing where on core first goes to movement speed.
Not ready yet.
Uh, some builds may require maximum hatred. For example, for my Demon Hunter, the more hatred that I have, the more damage that I can
I'm still
deal
waiting.
because of one of the set features. So I'll show you that. So I'm putting more into this. A lot of people, what they do is they go from
Not
movement
ready
speed
yet.
directly to the main stat. Or if they feel that they need some little bit of health, they'll put it into vitality. On the offense, crit chance
I'm still waiting.
goes first. Crit damage goes next. Or the crit chance and crit damage. So usually, what people do is
Need more
people
time.
maintain a 1:10 ratio. So for every X crit chance, they keep 10x the crit damage. Uh, that again is because of
I'm
pure
still waiting.
efficiency. But you're free to ignore it, and you just try to put something which is balanced out. So I
Not ready
have
yet.
both, so I'm just going to increase my crit damage. uh, I can put here, so I'm going to put this. And utility is probably the most useless tab.
Need more time.
People don't even bother doing anything, but it's pretty nice anyway. So resource cost reduction means it costs that much lesser to cast a item or a user skill.
I'm still waiting.
Area damage is actually pretty useful. Area damage means for every shoot, every time you use a skill, you have
Not ready yet.
20% chance to deal this area damage. And I don't have a book on this. I could write one though.
Need more time.
Uh, but yeah, so you can put an area damage, it distributes the damage
Not
pretty
ready
well.
yet.
Since you are starting new, what I would say is go to adventure mode, do some bounties, get to 70 once you're in 70,
Need more time.
do some rifts, get some GR keystones, use the greater rift keystones, and try to level up your legendary gems.
I'm still
And once
waiting.
you're out of GR keystones, go back to rifts, rinse, recycle, repeat.
Not ready yet.
So my set is, so this set that you get, so every season Blizzard
Still waiting.
rotates what set that you get. Earlier I mentioned if you complete these season journeys 2, 3, and 4, you
Need
get
more
two
time.
pieces of a set. So Blizzard keeps rotating what set you get, so you can try out different things. So for this season, it is
Not ready
this
yet.
which is known as the Unhallowed Essence or the multi-shot build, because the primary way of dealing damage is multi-shot. So basically, you come,
Need more
you
time.
just go shoot, and people die.
I'm still
You don't
waiting.
have to go in sequential order. If you feel that you can complete GR13, you can jump directly GR13. In fact, that's what I recommend. Try to do the highest possible, then you know where you can
Not
go.
ready
So if
yet.
in GR, if you're dying, if you're in 13 and if you're dying too fast, bring it down.
Need more time.
So yeah, so if you look at the set, it gives you powers. So for you see this
Still
number
waiting.
against the set. So that means if you have 2 pieces of the set, you get this. If you have 4 pieces, you get that plus the 2-piece one. And if you have 6 pieces, you get all this
Not
three
ready
together.
yet.
So in my case, for the 6 set, it says multi-shot deal 100% extra damage for every point of
Need more
discipline.
time.
So basically, I have 72 discipline, which means every time I shoot, I deal 72 into 100% extra damage. So that's effectively
I'm still waiting.
7,200% extra damage that I deal. And that's why everything gets dead in one shot. Uh, so the
Not ready
wolves that
yet.
you see here, so the other thing that you should do is you should enable this option called elective mode. I don't think it is enabled by default.
Need more time.
You should go and check how you can enable elective mode. What elective mode lets you do is basically, if you when you start, when you start,
I'm still waiting.
you can only select, for example, this main one, you can only select from here. You can see now, I can select whatever I want. So that is possible
Need
only
more
via the
time.
elective mode. If you don't have the elective mode, you cannot select this. So let me just give you an example. Where is elective? Yeah, elective mode.
I'm still waiting.
So in elective mode, I cannot select anything else except for this category. But if I enable elective mode, I can choose whatever I want. And that's basically the key to how you can
Not ready
select
yet.
whatever skill that you want. So I won't really run through each of these skills. There are a lot of build guides you can just read up online. But yeah, the wolf that you see is because of this thing called Wolf Companion. Why did I select the wolf? I have spider, bat, boar, wolf mainly because it,
Not ready yet.
it's plain and simple. It gives me extra damage. That's about it. Nothing else. The other thing is, you might be wondering how am I in this demon form?
Need more
That's
time.
because of this skill called Vengeance. Uh, so basically, Vengeance is that you become into embodiment of Vengeance, yada yada yada.
Not ready yet.
But you see this that the cooldown is 60 seconds,
Did you
and you
forget
might be
me?
wondering, sorry, the cooldown is 90 seconds, which means I can use this skill only once every 90 seconds. You might be
Need
wondering
more
how am
time.
I have it always on. That is because of the gear that I have.
It sounds like you ate
So
too
basically,
much.
I have this. If I go to my
I'm still
organize
waiting.
queue, I have this bow called Dawn. It says reduces the cooldown of vengeance by 65%. So
Not ready yet.
65% of 90 is like what? So it's about so now the because of this item itself, the cooldown of vengeance
Need more
becomes
time.
90 seconds to around 40 seconds. And then I use cooldown reduction on my items. So you can see here, I'm looking at cooldown reduction
I'm
at
still
around
waiting.
36%. That is a breakpoint to get. So vengeance is active for 20 seconds. You're
Need
yet
more
to use
time.
Kanai's cube. Wow. You need to use Kanai's cube right away. So vengeance is active for 20 seconds, which means
Not
I
ready
need to
yet.
have vengeance ready by another. I need to have vengeance up and ready within the 20 seconds. So the way
I'm
I
still
can do it
waiting.
is one is by this dawn. It brings it down from 90 to 45, 45 seconds. And if I hit
Need more time.
my cooldown reduction to 36%, 36% of 45 is like another 20 seconds. So basically, I am done.
I'm still waiting.
That's how this is ready.
I've dug up some new things for you.
I need to know how I invited her. But okay, I don't think I did public.
Not ready yet.
Kick. Anyway,
I'm still waiting.
so that's about a brief roundup on how I play the game and what are the
Not
basic
ready yet.
ways of playing it. What else? Basically, a lot of
Need
the
more
way you
time.
play is defined by what items and what gear you want. For example, I'm using this Yank's Recurve, which further increases my multi-shot damage. This
I'm
one
still waiting.
does multi-shot even more. So even though my 6-piece says that I can use multi-shot, I can use generators. Generators are my primary ones. I can use anything else, but I have all these
Not
items to
ready yet.
supplement multi-shot. So that's why multi-shot is what I use. And it gets to absurd levels because
Need
I
more
have
time.
this thing called focus and restraint. I don't have a restraint yet, but yeah. It does even more damage when you stay still and when you use
Not ready
whatnot.
yet.
The other thing that is a nice item to have is this thing called Nemesis. Basically, every time you hit a shrine, you get a champion
Need more
spawn.
time.
Let's see. Let me teleport.
I'm still waiting.
can see how fast that other person is killing, so I'm nowhere close.
Vengeance! Need more time. Bring that down.
Yeah, that's probably a lot for you to take in, so I would say just play however you want. Try, explore, experiment. I have a 5-year head start to this, so I've been playing this for a lot of time.
Still waiting.
The reason I still play after even 5 years is like, for me, it's like the perfect game to just de-stress it. Like, just come play for like half an hour, 40 minutes.
Spirit is free now. May he be in peace.
Just kill lots of monsters and do all your day's stress gone.
Not ready yet.
The Rift Guardian has found you.
I need more hatred to do that.
You saw that?
I'm still waiting.
So that was the gelatinous cube. It's like you kill one goblin, it spawns, it splits into two more. Those then split into two more. So it's like cell division. And there are some rifts where you get like groups of these goblins itself. It's like crazy. You see, I'm not picking up any of the yellows because I have a lot of things. I'm just going to pick up the blues so I can salvage them.
Darkness awaits you. Not ready yet.
This is something I'm doing wrong there.
I'm still waiting.
And you can see even more.
I'm overburdened.
I'll explain about gems a bit. Let me just finish this one. There it is.
My pack is full. You won't survive that. Need more time.
And you can see Jolin just hit level 70. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Already is at Tarragon 5.
Not ready yet.
Not enough space, so I'm just gonna toss up some more.
Need more time.
You can see now, see that spawns these champions just because of that nemesis that I was talking about.
Still waiting.
So if you're in a multiplayer game and someone says, I am nemesis, that's what it means. Like, it's basically saying,
Need more time.
don't use a shrine because I'll use a shrine, I'll get a champion. A champion means the higher chance you have.
Darkness awaits. Not ready yet.
No, he's not going to join me, he's going to come and try to kill me. So, a champion means the higher chance you have of getting a legendary item, so, or a set item, so, and more chances. And these death spread, you can only get them from these champions, so you need them for crafting. Oh wow, this is a blood thief, which is a goblin which gives you blood shards. You can use blood shards to gamble for items at Kadala.
I'm still waiting.
You can go to Kadala.
Not ready
Let's see what
yet.
happens.
Basically,
shall
you
we?
can exchange these blood shards to get a random item. 99% of the time, it's going to be some useless crap item, but once in a while, you might actually
Still
get a
waiting.
nice, decent item. Yeah, he's just flashing nonstop.
Need more time.
What a steal.
Not ready yet.
Don't know this, don't know this. Obvious rucksack.
Need more time.
You look like you could use a
still
new
waiting.
item of, see you soon.
Not ready yet.
Pick them
I
up.
need to go back. Need more time.
Your trial.
An ally has left my party, but my foes are weaker.
I'm gonna leave this game as well so that I can. Not really interested in. And I'm gonna go back to Torment 10 because German is now leveled up to 70 plus, so I don't have to stick to T10, T6. So in terms of gems, it depends on what your main stat is. So if you're a demon hunter, if you're a monk, all the your armor and your pants they get these emeralds because their emerald gives you dexterity. So it goes like this: diamond gives you a cooldown in the hell. This ruby gives you strength. This one gives you intelligence, the topaz, and this one gives you vitality. So right off the bat, this is more or less useless. You don't need amethyst. You'll get a vitality or health from elsewhere. Uh, when you are early on in the game, you will put a ruby into your weapon, and the first thing that you get when you get a decent weapon is go to Miriam, go to enchant, and basically get any of the items, get any of the slots. In this, you can don't ever re-roll the 8% damage or the damage range that you see 1000 to 2000 because that just destroys your item. If you see something like resource cost reduction or vitality, that you can just re-roll to a socket. Once you have a socket, you can just put a ruby. The higher ruby, the better you get, the better it will be. So ruby adds damage, direct damage, into the weapon, whereas emerald gives crit damage, and it's quite a sizable number. So weapons, initially you usually put ruby, and once you're at 70 and you've gone beyond say Paragon 20 or something like that, you can start putting emerald. In the helm, if you need cooldown reduction, you can put diamond. Otherwise, you can put amethyst or whatever. It's again optional, up to you. If you want, you can just otherwise you can just reroll the socket or something else. Your armor and the pants should always have 3+2 sockets, and they should it you can usually put it. You can put either the main stat ones, or you can alternatively, it's like if you're dying too much, because especially because of things like fire or poison or whatever, you can put a diamond which will boost the resistance. It's up to you, it's situational. The other thing is like these legendary gems. You can insert legendary gems only into your jewelry, which is 2 rings plus the amulet. There is one more that you can put into to your weapon, but that is not really needed. So that's known as the Gem of Ease. Let me see if I have it. Oh, yeah. So this is called the Gem of Ease. Basically, what it does is whatever item you put it into, the level requirement becomes 1. So this is pretty useful if you already have a good tier character and you want to roll a new character but you don't have anyone to power level you. What you do is just put it in. So now this is a level, you can see the required level is 70. So when you put this, the required level becomes 1. So you basically can just it's like you're having a road roller and just destroying everyone in one shot. As for which legendary gems are usual, it again depends on situation, but mostly there's this legendary gem called Bane of Trap. It is almost universally used almost everywhere because it's just amazing. It's pretty good. It gives you a flat 25% damage boost, and uh, so the way legendary gems work is they have two powers. The first power is the base power. The second power comes in when when you hit a rank 25 on that. You increase the rank of the legendary gems by completing in time the greater rifts. Okay, so now you see the feedback cycle of the game. You complete normal rifts to get the GR keystones. You use get GR keystones to level up the gems, and that's how it goes. And then you need to use the bounties to use Kanai's cube. So once you hit 25 or above, you get a second power, and in this, the second power uh, actually helps the first power itself. So that's why it's pretty much mandatory. Uh, this one, Bane of the Powerful, also is pretty good. Basically, after killing an elite pack or a champion or a blue monster, you get extra damage for a number of seconds. That second increases. So wherever you see this blue, it means it increases based on the rank. So, and you saw, and that's another reason why I was just focusing on killing the elites, because I can just extend the length of this Vein of the Powerful go on and on and on. The last one that I have is something very specific to my build. It basically the damage increases based on how far I am from the enemy. And since I'm a demon hunter, I shoot from far away. This is also pretty useful for wizards as well because they deal range damage. So the farther away you are, the more damage you deal. For Kanai's cube, you have a bunch of recipes. The first one is extract legendary power. Basically, what you do is you put the item. Let me see what item I have. This. You put this. I don't know how it is on the PS4. I think it might auto-populate the required materials, and you put the required materials. The materials are each of the for this. It's one of each of these are obtained from the Act bounties. So this is from Act 1 bounty, Act 2 bounty, 3, 4, 5, and that's breadth. So when I say do this, and I say transmute,
You're imaginative, aren't you?
so it extracts the power and I can use it. Go back here. Oh, sorry. It was armor, so it actually has clearance. The same thing I can do for this one, for example. So you can see now it's available. That's pretty much how Kanai's cube works. So this one, exact legendary power, is probably one which we initially use the most. And after that, there's this Reforge legendary. I don't use it because it is way too expensive, and like the number of items that is required is like way too high. Even for someone like me, right? Like I play a lot, but still it's way too high for me to use it regularly. So I don't bother with it. This is another very useful item, especially when you're starting off. If you want targeted item. For example, I went to Kadala,
Fate
and
smiles on you
you'll
today.
notice that the weapons, they are very expensive. They're 3 times as expensive as the other armors, and even the jewelries are about twice and 3 or 4 times as expensive. So for things like this, what you can do is you can go to the blacksmith. I'm just going to say I want this bow. So go there, go to the bow. I'm just going to do one craft. So I can basically target only the bow. The reason why is because like I said, with Kadala, it's very expensive, and also
Let's
with
look at
Kadala, you
this,
notice
shall we?
that it's a mystery weapon, right? So it can be anything. It can be a dagger. Uh, it can be a die bow. It can be a fist weapon, whatever. But I need only a bow. So the best way to target it is just craft it and just put it here. It's a transmute. So it will convert it into a. Funnily enough, I got the same bow. This is supposed to be a very rare bow, so I'm actually surprised I got it. But yeah, that's probably the easiest way to uh, target and get some high-end stuff, like for example, the rings or the amulet. So yeah, I think that's what is there uh, at an initial level at least. I know that's a lot of information. You probably have to watch it 2 3 times. So, but if you want, you can just ping me anytime. I'll let you know what needs to be done. Cool. If you have anything else, let me know. Can I ask you? They're not random. It's always the same. So, for example, each recipe has its own set of ingredients. So the extract legendary power, they always have one of each of the bounty items plus 5 death breath. So each of these ingredients, they are fixed. Uh, no, they are fixed. Like for example, this one, right? You get them only from Act 1 bounties. This one only from Act 2 or Act 3. This is Act 2. That spread you get every time you not every time every time you kill a blue or a yellow champion, there is a chance that there's a the death spread is going to drop. But yeah, it's like uh, for these, so wherever you see act 1, wherever you see horrific castles, it comes from that specific horrific that specific bounty. But again, there is no guaranteed, at least at the initial levels, like at T1 or T2, there is no guarantee that you will get one of these. At T6 and above, you start getting a definite guarantee that you will have at least two or whatever number of horrific caches, number of items from that. But everything else, Forgotten Souls, like I said, it comes from dismantling or from salvaging a legendary. And most of these items are all randoms. There are specific items which you can get only from bounties. For example, so this is very powerful ring called Ring of Royal Grandeur. You get them only from Act 1 bounties. And what the Ring of Royal Grandeur does is basically it reduces the number of set bonus items required by 1. So here, for example, for the 6-piece set, uh, with that the Ring of Royal Grandeur, I only need 5 items. So basically, using that, I can combine multiple sets. And so that's another level of experimentation you can do. And obviously, there are some builds which make use of multiple sets.
Doesn't our friend ever tire? I've hardly seen him rest since we met.
Now you know why angels and demons fear the Nephilim, Lorath.
Yeah, there's a lot of information overload, so just think about it. And feel free to ping me anytime you want anything. Sure. Until then.